Today I'll be changing the vvti intake cam gear because it's making rattling noises on startup. This 2014 Toyota Camry. We're gonna start by removing the harness. I already went ahead and unplugged the battery just for safety. Alright, so getting this harness out of the way is not as easy as it looks. Have to unclip the AC condenser, the alternator, all the coil plugs, vvti sensors, cam sensors, injectors, and then there's a few spots where it fastens to the actual valve cover. This one I actually took off the stud of this section, so I would have to remove the intake, but this should give me enough space to be able to remove the valve cover. Next I'll be removing the actual coil plugs, and I'll be loosening the serpentine belt, and I'll probably take off this mount slash engine tensioner. All right, so the valve cover is going to have 12 10mm bolts all around the edge, and then we're going to have three more here in the center. Those are going to be longer ones. These are the longer ones, and these are the around the edge. To get the actual valve cover off, I just use this big flathead screwdriver and pry it on here and got it loose. And I just need to move the harness out of the way, and it should pop right out. And this is how it looks once the valve cover is off. There's two little gaskets that go on here. They stayed on the valve cover. I'm gonna be replacing those with new ones, along with the valve cover gasket and the coil pack. Another helpful tip: if your car is a little dirty like mine, I'd recommend you clean all that off before you take off the valve cover. That way you don't get any dirt inside. 1, 2, 3, 4 14mm bolts and a 10mm bolt that goes to this ground. To remove this so that I can have access to this to be able to take off the cam gear once I'm ready. I also took off the serpentine belt. Next I'll be racing up the car, removing the passenger side wheel, removing the fender liner plastic that's covering the engine. Alright, so I went ahead and removed this plastic that went here to get access to the crank pulley, because we're going to be spinning that to set it to top dead center. There's some markings there that tell you that 0 is top dead center, and then there should be a marking on the crank pulley. I believe it's that one right there in the back. And I'm also gonna take out spark plug number 1, put in a long screwdriver in there just to make sure I'm at the very top. I spun it past 10 degrees, so I did a little mark. It's like ½ an inch after the 0. And this is how the timing marks look. Painted it with the paint marker so I can see it good. The camshaft lobes are pointing out. Means it's on compression side. The screwdriver tells me it's at just highest point. Now what we're gonna do is take off this guide, take this out, take out this plate so we can get towards the tension there, and then we're gonna then spin this back to 0 and take everything off. Remove the tension there. Now we're going to remove this upper guide by removing this bolt. And after that, we'll take this off and then remove the cam sprocket. Next, we're gonna be removing the actual bolt that goes to the cam gear. We'll hold the cam with this crescent wrench. I put these vice grips right here so the piston wouldn't go down the hood, because I'm keeping tension on the chain with this little bungee cord, I guess you would call, so the chain doesn't drop and skip a tooth. Now we just need to remove it. Put the cam bolt out. Now we just gotta remove the actual cam sprocket by pulling it this way and working with it, making sure the chain doesn't fall. So I went ahead and got the cam gear out. It's a little hard to get out. Once you get the chain off, you have to actually spin this backwards so you're able to pull it out, because this little hump right there won't let you pull it out if you don't turn it around. Now just repeat the process to install a new one. It's gonna be harder. All the cam gear, timing lines line up. The bolt goes torque to 63 foot-pounds. Now I'm installing this, tightening back up, installing back the timing chain tension there. Goes in there. I just pushed it back in and use this little nail to hold that thing in place. See how that goes. So I went ahead and installed the tension there. Just need to pull a little pin out to get some tension. I also installed this timing chain guide over here, the service hole. Now we just need to put the gasket on the valve cover and finish it up. I went ahead and installed the valve cover. Now I just need to install the harness, plug everything back in, and start her up. Put the valve cover back on, harness back on. All I need to do is put the serpentine belt and plug in the battery. Should be done. Alright, finished putting it back together. Should start it right up.